Welcome, everyone, to tonight's broadcast and for tonight's coverage of the SCSRA Xfinity Series. Tonight, these Xfinity cars will be taking on the high banks of Daytona International Speedway for two 30-lap duels. I'm going to be your announcer for tonight, Atlee Atman-Weiss, and I'm excited to call every second of tonight's races. This is the first kind of glimpse at what this season is going to look like, and let's take a look at what happened last season. Here's a little recap. Devin Bucciano won the SCSRA Dev Sports Cards Xfinity Series, the series with his likeness as the title sponsor. He got 3 wins, 10 top 5s, 13 top 10s, and ended up coming out on top in the season points. Finishing second in the standings was Cody Moore. Third was Clint Stone. Fourth was Kyle Mays. Fifth was Will Witt. 6th was Michael Provolt. 7th was Eddie Morris. Finishing 8th was Colin Willems. 9th was Brian Newty. And 10th was Brett Merle Jr. Other winners last season include Blake Kinsley. So coming into this season, we've got a lot of changes. New drivers running, number switches, new paint schemes. There's going to be a lot to digest tonight here in these duels. We're going to see this is going to be a little glimpse of who is going to be successful throughout Season 4. Now here's a look at the format for tonight's event. Like I mentioned, there will be, first of all, we are going to have qualifying, and that will determine the starting position for the two duels. And whoever qualifies first and second in qualifying will automatically start in first and second in the actual Daytona 500, which will be next week on next Wednesday. So stay tuned for that. And then the rest of the field will duke it out in the duels. Now what's going to happen in the duels is whoever wins the duel will finish either third or fourth, depending on what duel they're in. Whoever finishes second will start in fifth and sixth, third, sixth, and seventh, etc., etc. And also, the top 10 in each duel will get bonus points. So I believe first place will get 10 bonus points, second place will get 9 bonus points, and then so on and so on. So there's a lot that these drivers are fighting for here tonight. So this should be a fun and exciting race. We're going to see what happens. We've got 1 minute left here in practice, and right now on the top of the board, that is Michael Provolt in the 95. Now here's a look at some of the changes that we have seen. First of all, Brian Newty, after running last season in the number 28 machine, he is now driving the number 40. So if you're looking for Brian Newty on track, he is the number 40. Dustin Dean is now running in the Xfinity Series for the first time in the SCSRA era. He is driving in the Freedom from Religion Foundation car. And then we also have Austin Blaylock. He is going to be running this season in the number 99 Stick It Designs machine. Oh, and then, of course, I forgot to mention Brian Merle Jr. He is going to be in the number 13 instead of the number 74 this season. So, and if you're looking for Brian Merle Jr., he is going to be in the McKinleyville Barbershop, number 14. So those are your changes. For number changes, Brian Newty and Brian Merle Jr. are in the 40 and the 13. And then Austin Blaylock and Dustin Dean are going to be making their debuts here in the Xfinity Series. All right, it is now time for qualifying. Drivers will get 2 laps to try to set their best possible lap time. And remember, whoever qualifies in positions 1 and 2 will automatically start there next week at Daytona for the season opener. We're watching Brett Merle in the number 11 machine, Dev Sports Cards machine. Brett was not able to break into the win column last season, so searching for his first searching for a win this season. He got 3 top 10s. There's Colin Willems in the number 17. Willems had a very, very successful season. He had 3 wins, but he was not able to make the Final Four. So Colin Willems looking to try to have a little bit of a better season and compete for a championship. Colin Willems is definitely in the field, one of the championship favorites, driver to watch out for. He is going to be competitive week in and week out. We've got Dave Wright in the number 84 machine, a new paint scheme for Mr. Wright. Dave Wright was not able to break into the win column last year, but he did pick up a top 10. And there we go, first lap for Colin Willems. We see he is hugging the outside wall, trying to build up momentum for that second lap. Typically, that's the strategy here at these super speedways. Speaking of a driver who knows super speedways, that is the 81 machine of Josh Hall. He is definitely one of, if not the best, super speedway driver in the field, and he is going to be one to watch out for tonight. There's one of our new drivers, Austin Blaylock. We've got Brian Merle Jr. We're watching him right now on the backstretch with his new livery. And Brett Merle to the top of the board with a 50.71. Josh Hall to second with a 51.09. Third is Colin Willems with a 51.18. Dustin Dean leaving the pits. Brian Merle Jr. to second with a 50.84. That will put him a little bit over a tenth from his brother Brett. Michael Provolt to second with a 50.76. That will put him 0.05 off of first place Brett Merle, knocking Brian Merle Jr. down to third. And Joe Wright to the top of the board with a 50.70. As I say that, on his second lap, Brett Merle tops Joe with a 50.62, putting Brett 0.08 ahead of second place Joe Wright. And Colin Willems goes to the top of the board with a 50.59. So that will put him 0.03 ahead of second place Brett Merle. Josh Hall is in third with a 50.67. As I say that, Brian Merle Jr. hops up to third with a 50.63, putting him 0.09 off of first place Colin Willems. 0.04. There's Dave Wright. And there we go, Colin Willems. Dustin Dean on track. He's getting ready to complete his first lap. And there it is. Last season's champion, Devin Buchno, heading off of turn number 4. Let's see what lap time he is going to turn. And Devin Buchno turns a 50.62, putting him into that second place spot. He is 0.03 off of first place Colin Willems. And if Devin Buchno stays where he is, then he will be starting on the front row for next week's season opener at Daytona. There's Dustin Dean on his second lap, heading on the backstretch. Austin Blaylock gets to second with a 50.60, putting him 100th off of first place Colin Willems. Austin Blaylock is back. He ran in the series previously. So Austin Blaylock making his return. We see Dustin Dean got to third with a 50.61. That will put him 0.02 behind first place Colin Willems. Both Dustin Dean and Austin Blaylock have raced in this season previously. Or in the series, excuse me. But neither of them completed last season, so they're back for the first time in a while, both of them. We're watching Brian Newty in the 40 machine. The SCSRA Season 2 Truck Series champion. He gets to 12th on his first lap with a 51.46. Brian Newty also had a very successful season. He got 2 wins, but he also struggled a little bit, and he did not make it to the Final Four. He missed a couple races. So hopefully Brian Newty can, compete in all the races and get to the Final Four and compete for a championship. Maybe with that new number, we might see him do a little bit better. Brian Newty back in the number 40 after competing with the number 28 last season. Of course, we'd like to thank series sponsor Dev Sports Cards for all of their support of this league. Dev Sports Cards was established in 2013 by SCSRA driver and Neon Racing team owner Devin Butchino. Dev Sports Cards specializes in all your sports cards and gaming cards needs. From football, baseball, and basketball cards to Pokemon, Dev Sports Cards sells it all. On their eBay store, you can find a wide variety of items, from high-end sports cards to their weekly 99-cent starting bid 7-day auctions. Don't have time to sell your own cards? Reach out to Devin and ask about his consignment services. Simply package them up, ship them out, and Devin will get them listed, sold, and then you get paid. Dev Sports Cards can be found on eBay with 4,000 plus positive feedback, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Dev Sports Cards is a proud sponsor of the SCSRA series and Intensity Broadcasting. So thank you so much to Devin and Dev Sports Cards for, again, sponsoring the series, the Xfinity series, and good luck to Devin as he competes for his second championship this season. Intensity Broadcasting is proud to be partnered with Butt Kicker. And I know you're probably asking yourself, what is Butt Kicker? Well, I will tell you. Butt Kicker is the established and trusted leader in gaming haptics. The award-winning line of Butt Kicker products lets users feel ultra-low-frequency sounds. Their products are used and endorsed around the world by leading PC and console gamers, including professional sim racers. The patented design makes them incredibly accurate, powerful, and virtually indestructible. The Gamer Plus is the new and upgraded sim racing and gaming hardware that reproduces immersive, accurate, and powerful sim racing, flight sim, and gaming effects. To check out the full line of Butt Kicker products and figure out which one is right for you, visit thebuttkicker.com. Again, thebuttkicker.com is the website belonging to the established and trusted leader in gaming haptics. Once again, thank you to Butt Kicker, as always, for partnering with Intensity Broadcasting. Definitely consider checking them out. I use my Butt Kicker whenever I'm on iRacing, and it is like iRacing in a 4D movie theater. You can feel every rumble strip, every gear shift. You can feel the tires spinning. It makes for such an immersive experience, and it can make you a better driver because you can feel things that you wouldn't necessarily be able to feel. And I know we have many drivers racing tonight that use them, and they love them. Josh Hall loves his. Joe Wright loves them. Both of them use their Butt Kickers. So I believe this is going to be the odd numbers first. Maybe. So I'm not sure what the format was. I thought it was going to be 2 30-lap races. But looks like we have everybody gridded. So let's take a look at the starting lineup. Starting on the pole with a 50.590 driver for Wasted Wages Racing. That is the 17 of Colin Willems. And he's the only Canadian in the field. Outside of him, driver for Stick It Racing. That's the 99 of Austin Blaylock. Starting third, it's the 21 of Dustin Dean. Fourth is Neon Racing's Devin Bucciano. And rounding at your top 5, that is Brett Merle. Starting in the 6th place spot, that is Neon Racing's Brian Merle Jr. 7th is CCM's Eddie Morris in the 8. And 8th, that is CCM's Joe Wright in the 82. 9th is Dave Wright, and rounding out your top 10, that is CCM's Brian Nudie in the 40. And 11th, that is 2 pedal blow punches Michael Provo in the 95. 12th is IDBC Racing Josh Hall in the 81. 13th is Cody Moore, and in 14th, that is David Hartney.
Hey. Doing the one race tonight, not enough people showed up for the second one.
Okay.
I'm not sure if there was a miscommunication or not, but we'll just be doing the one race.
And so
looks like the top 2 right now will lock in the top for the starting position.
Okay.
And we're just gonna be running the one race tonight.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you for letting me know.
No problem, sir. Have a good night.
You too. So there we go. We've got word that we are only going to have one 30-lap race. The top 2 are locked in to next week's season opener. That is Colin Willems and Austin Blaylock. And the rest will be fighting for the positions, for the grid. So there we go. Pace car is in. And green flag is out here at Daytona International Speedway. Tonight's duel is underway. There's Colin Willems taking off. He's got Dustin Dean right behind him. Quite the gap for that 17 machine heading into turns 1 and 2. And that could be his downfall, because that'll allow everybody behind him to build up lots of momentum heading onto the backstretch. But we see Dustin Dean. There we go. Dustin Dean looks to the high side, heading onto the backstretch. They are side by side. Dean with the nose on the outside. But there goes the number 11 machine of Brett Merle. He is fighting back on the bottom. So now Brett Merle, Devin Bucciano, teammates controlling that bottom lane. Colin Willems goes into the pits. We see Dustin Dean, Austin Blaylock drafting on the high side, and Colin Willems is into the pits. Definitely not a good start for Colin Willems. Yeah, so looks like Colin Willems taking tires and fuel. I'm not sure about the decision, but right now we take a look, and that bottom line really, really strong right now. The top lane needs more cars if they want to be strong. We see right now all they have is Dustin Dean, Austin Blaylock, Brian Merle Jr., and Joe Wright. There we go. Big run for Dustin Dean and Austin Blaylock on the outside. They're gaining some ground. There we go. Big run on the top. Here's Dustin Dean. He has the nose over that bottom lane. Tons of momentum. But still, I don't think they have enough cars. They need more people up there if they want to truly get by that 11 and 68. 2 teammates hooked up. I mean, it is really hard to beat 2 teammates drafting with each other. We just saw the leaders go by Colin Willems, who is now 2 laps down. Definitely not a good way to start the race. And there we go. We saw Dustin Dean almost tucked into that bottom lane there, but he is going to stay with Austin Blaylock on the high side. I know Brian Merle Jr. is trying his hardest to get down behind the 11 and 68 machine, his two teammates at Neon Racing. I know if Brian Merle Jr. can find a hole, he is going to go down to the bottom, and then it's going to be all CCM on the high side. Here's a look at some of the team. Oh, big run on the outside for Dustin Dean there. We saw in the backstretch they had tons of momentum, but they lose it heading through turns 3 and 4. They are going to stay side by side at the moment. Typically, the first 5 to 10 laps of this race is drivers going around the track trying to get hooked up with their teammates. We're going to see mostly drivers, it really helps to have teammates to work with here in tonight's event. And so the teams here tonight, that's Wasted Wages Racing, Cody Moore and Colin Willems. Intensity DBC Racing, that's David Wright, David Hartney, and Josh Hall. Neon Racing is Brett Merle, Brian Merle Jr., and Devin Butchino. CCM Racing is Austin Blaylock, Brian Nudie, Dustin Dean, Eddie Morris, and Joe Wright. And then Michael Provolt is just running by himself. He is just kind of an independent in this race. So that's kind of what's going on right now. Teammates trying to find each other on track. We've got less than 25 laps to go here in this duel. And the bottom still very strong. The top hasn't really been able to get anything done so far. Those Neon Racing teammates on the bottom have just been so strong. Except for that little slip up there. Devin has pretty much just been locked right onto the back bumper of that 11 machine. And these two have probably drafted with each other for many hundreds and hundreds of laps here at these super speedways, so they know how to work together. They're teammates, so that's why they're so strong. Wow, Dustin Dean, Austin Blaylock, they're kind of new as teammates. Both of them are new in this series after not racing for a little bit, and they both joined CCM. And that's also what this race is kind of going to be about. Drivers on new teams are learning, how to draft with their fellow teammates. So that especially is targeted towards Dustin Dean and Austin Blaylock with their new teammates of Joe Wright, Eddie Morris, and Brian Nudie. Those 5 CCM drivers are all, still trying to figure out how to work with each other. So the question is, when is the big one going to hit? That is what these drivers are always waiting for at these super speedways. When will the big one be? And it always comes when you least expect it. I'm not talking about your single car wreck or your 2-car wreck. The big one, that is 8 or more cars. Absolute carnage. But right now, I think these drivers are just trying to race clean. Now, I'm not too sure about the fuel run. I do not know if they can make it all the way through this race. This is a 30-lap race, so, it's not too long. But we shall see. I will definitely keep an eye on it. And we'll know if some drivers dip onto pit road, then there will be some green flag pit stops needed. Right now, some very, very calm racing. Not too much craziness. As I say that, we see Michael Provolt getting a little bit squirrely on the bottom. We've got 20 laps to go here at Daytona International Speedway. And let's quickly talk a little bit about the track that we are racing at tonight. No one could have known it then, but when Daytona International Speedway opened in 1959, it marked the beginning of a new era in American motorsport. As a replacement for the old beach road course a few miles east, the high-bank 2.5-mile Florida Tri-Oval represented the leading edge of a wave of construction of big paved speed palaces. Before Daytona, Indianapolis was the only American oval track longer than 1.25 miles, and most racing took place on dirt ovals a mile or less in length. From the very first Daytona 500... Well, I just saw something happen there. From the very first Daytona 500 won by Lee Petty in a three-way photo finish, those high banks so steep that it is hard to walk up them proved a favorable venue for wide-open stock car racing, and Daytona kicked off the growth of NASCAR as we know it today. Daytona was also the first multi-use facility with a 3.56-mile road circuit, incorporating the infield and most of the oval, host not only to the Daytona 500, but the Rolex 24 Sports Cars Endurance Race, Bike Week's Daytona 200, Daytona Kart Week between Christmas and New Year's, and a host of driving school, club, and other events. Daytona's busy and diverse schedule confirms the track's motto, the World Center of Racing. Daytona International Speedway's infrastructure has grown and changed to such a degree that it would be almost unrecognizable today to someone who hasn't seen it since the track opened. But one thing hasn't changed over the past 6 decades. No driver can consider his or her career complete without notching a victory at Daytona. And a win would definitely be nice here at Daytona tonight for one of these drivers. Right now, still the bottom lane remains the same, but that top line is really starting to fall behind. They have lost a ton of momentum, as now Eddie Morris, he is right on the back bumper of Bucciano, staying right with him. There's really only 3 cars on that high side now. They really need to get formed up. More people need to go up there. Oh, we see Eddie Morris, Dave Wright. They go from the bottom to the top, and now they are the 2 leaders on that high side, and that is going to give the top some much-needed momentum. Really, really good decision there by the 8 and the 84. And here they come on the high side. Big run on the front stretch. Eddie Morris, Dave Wright, in a big, big move. They go up to the high side, and let's see if it'll pay off. The high side, since the beginning of this race, has not really made much ground. But we may see it finally have some momentum. We see Michael Provolt, 3rd car on the bottom, giving the 68 some much-needed help. And as they cross the start-finish line, it will be 15 laps to go, halfway through this race. And at this time, I am going to turn up the volume and pump up the intensity here. You'll get to see the sights and hear the sounds of the racetrack. Here we go. That will do it for Pump Up the Intensity. Hopefully you enjoyed us turning up the volume. As we come back to the racing action there, we see the field going around a lap car. That is Colin Willems. We see the bottom and the top still have the same characters. Brett Merle, Devin Butchno, or are the front two. And oh, we see Michael Provolt. He gets down onto the apron in an interesting move there. I don't know if he was forced down there or he just didn't like what he saw and kind of dropped back. Woo! Oh no! We see contact. David Hartney really, really squirrely. Oh, can he save it? Yes, he does. We saw some contact get made between David Wright and David Hartney, two teammates, and that got the car upset, but luckily he was able to save it without taking out anybody. That could have been a bad incident. So now there's only 3 cars on the bottom. The high side is way more formed up. It is the entire CCM team and Dave Wright. But still, you can't count out the 2 teammates on the bottom. Now, at this stage of the race, here are my ones to watch. Starting off, Joe Wright in the 82 machine. He currently runs in the 7th place position. He's got momentum from winning last night's All-Star race. He is one of the best super speedway racers I know, and he is always there at the end. So definitely keep your eye out for Joe Wright. Also, watch out for Colin Willems. I know he's 2 laps down, or 3 laps down, but if he can get those 3 laps back, he is still going to be one to watch out for. It's going to take a lot, but if Colin Willems can get back onto the lead lap, he is going to be a real threat. And lastly, keep your eye out for Eddie Morris. Eddie Morris has a long streak of races won in the SCSRA Truck Series. And oh no, we've got a driver spinning through the pits. That is Dave Wright in the 84 machine. I have no idea what happened. We're going to watch what happened here. Here's Dave Wright on the outside. And he's getting a huge shove from Dustin Dean. And that just turns David Wright around right in front of Cody Moore, who gets a little bit of damage. And that is where the phrase, "don't push the pusher," comes from. We saw Dustin Dean. He pushed the pusher. And it did not end well. Big run on the outside for Eddie Morris and Dustin Dean. There we go. They're pretty much clear of Brett Merle. I think Eddie Morris is going to try the best that he can to get both him and Dustin Dean clear of your 2 drivers on the bottom. We see Brian Nudie goes down to the bottom lane to give Devin Butchno and Brett Merle some much-needed help. They remain. Now the momentum has gone to the bottom lane. We see all 4 CCM drivers, 4 of the 5 CCM drivers grouped up on that outside lane, trying to make something happen. But at these super speedways, it's strength in numbers, and right now that bottom lane has more cars, and they're grouped up a little bit tighter, so therefore they're going to have more momentum. But as I say that, watch Eddie Morris on that outside lane. He's got a big run. Speaking of big run, Josh Hall just ran the fastest lap time of the race with a 47.08. He is in 10th right now. The thing is, the more cars you have in front of you, the more momentum you're going to have. And we saw that with Josh Hall there. He was in the back, but he's got a lot of cars in front of him, and he's going to give that bottom lane even more help. Much to Eddie Morris, Dustin Dean, Austin Blaylock, and Joe Wright's dismay. We see Brian Nudie, Cody Moore going to the outside now, but we see Eddie Morris. Oh no, Dustin Dean is in the outside wall. We see Eddie Morris says, hey, I'm going to make my own lane, so he goes all the way up against the wall. He's got Joe Wright behind him. Brian Nudie, and we see Cody Moore. He goes up to that third lane in front of Eddie Morris. Now Eddie Morris goes down to the bottom. Brian Nudie leads that outside lane. And what has happened? Josh Hall goes up to the outside now in front of Brian Nudie to give that outside a little bit more momentum. And oh, we see Cody Moore's around. Cody Moore. Uh-oh. I do not know what happened to the 52 machine. Let's take a look. So here's Cody Moore drafting with Eddie Morris. Josh Hall tags the outside wall. And oh, so here is a look at what happened. So we see Josh Hall goes high. And then Brian Nudie, he comes down the track, but neither of them make contact, so that was net code. Brian Nudie did come down the track, but he never made contact with Cody Moore, so that is just an unfortunate net code incident there. We've got 4 laps to go here. Brett Merle, Devin Butchno, and now they've got their teammate Brian Merle Jr. behind them. They are holding strong on the bottom. Eddie Morris, Josh Hall, Joe Wright, they lead the train on the top. We've already lost 2 drivers, Dave Wright and Colin Willems. Both of them are a lap down, but still, we've got 13 drivers that are still in contention for this race. As they cross the start-finish line, 3 laps to go. What is going to happen here? We saw Josh Hall, he dropped down to the bottom lane, giving the Neon Racing drivers some help. So it's 3 cars on the outside. Strength in numbers, that bottom lane has the momentum right now. As I say that, good run on the high side for Eddie Morris. I mean, him, Joe Wright, and Austin Blaylock, they are bumper to bumper. But they lose them a little bit heading through turns 3 and 4. And as they cross the start-finish line, that is 2 laps to go. Great run, once again, on the outside. For Eddie Morris, looks like Brian Merle Jr. has fell behind a little bit. Now the strength in numbers goes to the high side. We're going to see it on the backstretch here. Yeah, big run. Eddie Morris almost clear. Yes, he is. He drops down to the bottom, but he is not able to take his 2 teammates with him. So now Eddie Morris leads the bottom lane, but heading into this final lap, Eddie, he is a sitting duck. Whoever is in first place is always in danger. It's going to be interesting to see how he is going to be. Oh, no! Contact Austin Blaylock. Josh Hall goes around. 1 lap to go. Eddie Morris. Brett Merle on the bottom. Joe Wright, Austin Blaylock drafting on the top. What is going to happen here? Next flag will end the race. Joe Wright needs all the momentum he can get. He needs help from Austin Blaylock on that high side. Brian Merle Jr. goes down to help Brett Merle on the bottom. Joe Wright needs to go. Oh, Joe Wright comes down into Brian Merle Jr. That spreads the whole field apart, and then there were pretty much 3 cars. Brett Merle goes to the outside of Eddie Morris, and Brett Merle! Eddie Morris crash on the front stretch. Eddie Morris with the momentum. Brian Merle Jr. and Eddie Morris will win the race. He will win the duel here at Daytona. Wow. What a win there for Eddie Morris. Brian Merle Jr., he was right behind him. let's take a look at exactly what happened starting on the backstretch. So that will do it. What a race for Eddie Morris. We won't be able to see the replay. But that was a crazy turn of events. Eddie Morris, he will win the duel. He will be starting in third next week for next week's season opener. Brian Merle Jr. will be starting fourth. There we go. Eddie Morris, he burns it down on the front stretch. Hopefully that is a sign for good things to come this season. So it's now time for the driver interviews. Starting off, let's pull in your third place finisher, Devin Bucciano. Hey, Devin, this is Atlee in the broadcast room. We got a copy.
I got you, man.
Awesome. Well, great run tonight. I know starting off at the beginning of this race, I know you and your teammate Brett were just able to have a controlling lead over the rest of the field on that bottom. You two were just hooked up with each other, and you were fast, and nobody on the top could really get anything going. And that last stage of the race, there was a lot of hectiveness, but you were still able to keep it on the bottom, and then we saw on that last lap, I believe it was you and Austin Blaylock, you all made contact, and that kind of knocked you out of the contention, and so you were just trying to get up there, just get the highest position you could get. And I know the finish wasn't exactly how you wanted, but still great race. I mean, walk me through, what was going through your head those last few laps.
Yeah, Brett, real quick on the bottom. The bottom is definitely the place to be. For the last about half of the race, we were really struggling with keeping the car cool. Right around 2:59, it was getting red on us, and you can only let it flash red so many times before it blows up. And that's kind of what happened with 2 to go. When the CCM guys got outside of us, it was Eddie, Joe, and Blaylock, and I knew we just had to keep it side by side with them into one or down the backstretch to to keep that run on the bottom and stay ahead of them. But once they cleared us down the back, I tried staying locked to Brett, but as we came to the line for the white, it was blinking red. It was a couple blinks away from blowing up, so just couldn't get Brett the push we needed at the end there, which stinks because we really controlled this entire race. I thought we were going to be able to get it done, but just had to pull out or else we're going to blow up.
I got you. Well, I wasn't sure what happened, so, well, man, I mean, that's what happens at these super speedways, just tight quarters, car gets hot, so that's unfortunate. But, I mean, you're still going to have a good position coming into next week's race at Daytona, starting in position number 5 with how everything shook out. I mean, you confident with your super speedway abilities next week?
Yeah, I hope so. That's the big thing on my checklist. I mean, over the past few seasons, we've gotten the short track win, we've gotten the road course win in SCSRA competition, and the restrictor play race is pretty much the last thing that I'd like to do. So got a couple chances here. We're going to the New Atlanta too, so hopefully we can get that done. Just be around at the end.
Now, before we let you go, Devin, is there any sponsors or shout-outs?
Yeah, I want to thank you, Atman, for doing this. Also, great race last night. You did an awesome job. Thank you to everyone at Intensity, Dev Sports Cards, Morse Customs for doing the schemes on the neon cars this season. They look awesome. New Craft Line Jewelry and Design, and McKinleyville Barbershop. So appreciate everyone, and thank you, Atman.
Yeah, definitely had fun broadcasting tonight's event. Really, really fun race. Again, congrats on the podium tonight, Devin. Have a great rest of your night.
You as well. Thank you.
No problem. All right, let's now pull in your second place finisher, the mayor of McKinleyville. Let's pull in Brian Merle Jr. Brian, this is Atlee in the broadcast room. We got a copy.
Sir, I do.
Awesome. Well, really, really good run tonight. I know I didn't really say your name too much there throughout the race. I know you were trying to, the whole time, just trying to get with your Neon Racing teammates. You were stuck on the top with the CCM drivers, but eventually with those last few laps, I know you were able to get down to the bottom, and you were with Brett and Devin there. And then we saw Eddie drop down to the bottom on that last lap, and you were just kind of trying everything you can. And off of 4, you know, we saw how everything shook out, drivers making contact with each other. I know Devin, his motor got too hot, so he had to drop out, but you're able to just get through all of it, all the incidents, all the hits, and you're able to break through. You couldn't quite get by Eddie there just because he had the lead heading onto the tri-oval, but, I mean, still great run tonight. I mean, walk us through what was going through your head that last stretch.
Yeah, it was just really hard to pass. So, and I had a frame issue the whole time, so I was running about 25 frames a second, and in VR that's a kind of hairball. So, real hard to pass. Everybody raced real clean. You know, there wasn't too much craziness going on, so it was kind of fun just to hang out on the outside. It took like 22, 23 laps to get with my teammates, and then about that time, I think the tires start giving up here because a lot of guys were starting to get loose. Myself, it was just snapping sideways, especially off of 4. So tried to stay with my brother, give him that run to get around Eddie, and I got loose behind him. They ended up making unfortunate contact, and if I wouldn't have lifted, thinking they were going to pile up right there in the middle of the track, I probably could have got Eddie. But you know, hats off to that guy. My brother and Devin, they worked awesome together. You know, I think my brother probably led 28 of those laps. So, you know, all in all, good strong showing for the beginning of the year. I ended last Xfinity season with a second, and I guess I'm going to start this Xfinity season with a second.
Absolutely. I mean, next week you are definitely starting pretty good here at Daytona. You're going to be starting in 4th. So, I mean, how confident are you to, you know, pick up your first ever super speedway win here in this Xfinity series?
Oh man, you know, there's just so many good drivers, and it's just like anything, you know, luck can be on your side, or you could have a really bad race. So, I mean, I feel like I'm pretty decent when it comes to super speedways. I think I can manipulate the air, and I know how to push pretty well. So, I mean, I don't know. I think I'm a force to win it always, but you know, that's everybody. Anybody can win this race. So, um, I really just want to win a mile and a half, or you know, something takes a little bit more skill than just holding the loud pedal down. But a win's a win, right?
Oh, absolutely. I can say that, considered my only wins in this league are opens. So, before I let you go, Brian Merle Jr., I mean, any sponsors or shout-outs?
You know, Eddie Morris Customs. He took the car that I race of my dad's in real life and mimicked the paint scheme, and he absolutely nailed it right down to the numbers that we put on crooked on the car. So, you know, good job to that guy. He does fantastic work. Look him up. McKillville Barbershop. My teammates Brett, Devin, and then my truck teammate Jake. I can't leave Jake out because I forgot to do that in the last interview we did in the Xfinity. Even though he doesn't race our Xfinity class, I do appreciate that guy's help. So, Dev Sports Card, you guys for putting this on. And can't wait for a good season.
Absolutely. I think it's going to be an absolute barn burner of a season. And definitely want to say, love your new car. If you're looking for a new paint, then definitely consider Morris Custom. You can find him on Facebook. He made Brian's paint, and it looks absolutely fantastic. So, again, congrats on the runner-up tonight, Brian. Have a great rest of your night.
Thanks, Atlee, and good job last night. I was super pumped for you.
Hey, thank you. And now it is time to pull in your winner from Sevierville, Tennessee, owner of Morris Customs, driver for CCM. Let's pull in Eddie Morris. Eddie, this is Atlee in the broadcast room. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Well, you were able to pick up the dual win here tonight at Daytona, and what an incredible race it was. I mean, it was quite the up and down race for you. I know you were starting off kind of on the bottom, running with Devin and Brett there on the bottom. But eventually, when the gap opened up, we saw you and Dave. You jumped out to the outside lane and ahead of Dustin and Blaylock, and y'all were running really good on the outside. And then we saw during those last few laps, you were able to get down onto the bottom. And coming to the last lap, I said, Eddie's in first. He's kind of a sitting duck, but the fact that you were in first was kind of an advantage because on the backstretch and heading through turns 3 and 4, we saw a couple instance drivers getting to each other, and that kind of knocked out the field behind you. And because you kind of had that gap on the bottom since you were in first, you're able to avoid all of it and got the win. So, just walk us through kind of your thought process there those last few laps.
Yeah, those last few laps, man, Joe, he's a hell of a pusher. He told me in the Discord he was getting hot, so I was trying to wait till, my teammates and stuff were clear if we could. Man, the draft here is it's rough. Like, that outside line has no run. Like, if you're on the inside and you got 2 cars hooked up, it just seemed like they were untouchable. But yeah, shout out to Joe, shout out to D Wright, Dustin Dean, Austin Blaylock, Brian Nudie, the whole team at Cheeseless Crackers Motorsports. Yeah, man, it was crazy. Coming off of 4 a couple times. I know one time it felt like I was dirt tracking it, and I don't know what happened there. It was weird, but I just stayed in the gas and come out of it. So I don't know. But yeah, coming out of 4 there on that last lap, all that stuff went down, and I seen Brett having a run up there, and I tried to slow his momentum down a little bit, and next thing you know, I was sideways, and I never let out of it and was able to get it going straight and beat Junior to the line. It was insane.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Insane's the word to describe it. It was just so hard to digest everything that happened. But, coming into this race, you're starting pretty good, starting in 3rd behind Colin and Blaylock. So, you're starting kind of near your teammate with Blaylock. Are you confident that you can possibly get your first ever SCSRA Xfinity Series Super Speedway win?
We'll see next week. I was just talking to Pacino. He's like, I think we might count this, but I think the points win will be a lot better, to be honest with you. But I'm not gonna discredit this one at all. I was in the Xfinity car and I got a win, so I'm counting it. I don't care if y'all count it or not.
Absolutely. You take all the wins you can get. But before I let you go, Eddie, is there any sponsors or shout-outs?
Shout out to you guys at Intensity Broadcasting, the best broadcasters in the business. Appreciate you guys broadcasting us every week, and we're able to grow with you guys, and it's been a fun journey, and I'm looking forward to more growth with you guys, and Morris Customs, Dev Sports Cards, our title sponsors for the Xfinity series and the Truck series. It's almost Christmas time, man. If you need your last-minute gifts, Dev Sports Cards would definitely be a good place to check out for those sports fans in your life, and get those cards before Christmas. Morris Customs for the paints. Everybody that lets me do this, man.
Awesome. Well, again, congrats on the win tonight, and have a great rest of your night, and good luck next week.
Thanks, bro.
No problem. Well, that will do it for tonight's event. One more time, congratulations to Eddie Morris on his dual win. Starting next week will be the SCSRA season opener, so you are not going to want to miss that. Make sure to turn on your notifications. This race has determined the starting lineup, so it'll be Colin Willems and Austin Blaylock on the front row, and then Eddie Morris and Brian Merle Jr. behind them with Devin Butchino in 5th. And then also, I forgot to mention that the top 10 in tonight's event, they have all gotten bonus points to begin the season. So Eddie Morris, I believe, has 10. Brian Merle Jr., 9 points. Or actually, no, I think everybody just gets 1 point. I'm not sure. I don't know how the points are working with that, but I know that all the top 10 from Eddie Morris to David Hartney, they are all going to be getting bonus points. And of course, I want to thank all of the league admins here of the SCSRA series: Brian Nudie, David Hartney, Eddie Morris, Michael Provolt, Sylvain Seagoin, Devin Butchino, and Stephen Black. Without them, this league would not run as smoothly as it does. So thank you to all the admins. Thank you to the title sponsor of this league, Dev's Sports Cards. Like Eddie said in his interview, if you have a sports fan in your life and you're looking to try to get them some sports cards then definitely Dev Sports Cards is the way to go. Check them out on eBay, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And of course, make sure to like, follow, and subscribe. Oh, also thank you to the Butt Kicker for partnering with Intensity Broadcasting. If you have an iRacer in your life and you want to get them an awesome Christmas gift, then the Butt Kicker is the way to go. Make sure to check out their website, thebuttkicker.com, and check out the full line of Butt Kicker products and figure out which one is right for you or the person you are getting the gift for. Perfect gift for, the iRacer in your life. I'd also, again, make sure to like, follow, and thank all the viewers for tuning in to watch tonight's broadcast. Make sure to like, follow, and subscribe to Intensity Broadcasting on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook, as it would be greatly appreciated. We're trying to reach our goals of 2,500 followers on Facebook, 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, and 1,000 followers on Twitch. Check out our Twitter, IntensityBrond1. We're always dropping polls and interacting with our viewers on there. And also make sure to visit our web store, IntensityBroadcasting.com. Of course, if you have an Intensity Broadcasting fan in your life or a racing fan in your life, and that's the one-stop shop for all of your Christmas gift needs. We've got Intensity Broadcasting merchandise, Atlas Racing merchandise. We've got a bunch of auto racing novelty t-shirts, all of our driver collections, our lifestyle collections, and we also have a bunch of league collections, especially make sure to check out the SCSRA collection and pick up an SCSRA t-shirt that comes in sizes extra small to 5XL and a bunch of different snazzy colors. I'm Atlee Atman-Leashed on behalf of the entire Intensity Broadcasting team. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Over and out.